Welcome again to First Center. Also welcome to all of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. We get a lot of comments and calls for different kinds of assistance and counseling every week. Now we have somewhat of a backlog, but we will get to everyone. Just call the office and speak to Jimmy. Generally, I'm here most every afternoon, and we'll work something out. I wanted to mention that we're getting all your comments. We appreciate them, both on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and God knows where else. If you need help, again, please feel free, or you just need to talk. Call us usually from around 12:30 through about 7 most days. I'm supposed to give you our address. It's 204 West 84th Street, New York, New York, 10024, if you want to get in touch with us. Or Jimmy will post in the chat room our phone number. So happy Mother's Day. We're going to be able to have time where we can share about our mothers toward the end of our lesson today. If you're watching on any of the other platforms, send us an email or send us a message, because if you watch us on Zoom, you'll have an opportunity to listen to people after the lesson. When you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, it's wonderful to get the lesson, but you will not be able to interact and hear the wonderful commentary that comes from our group. So let's move into the lesson, and then we'll talk a bit about Mother's Day as well. Ernest Holmes, who was the author of our textbook, The Science of Mind, once said, "We don't will anything into happening. Okay? We don't will things into manifestation. We don't will a demonstration." Some people think, if I focus on it long enough and I tell the universe what I want, I'm going to get what I want. It doesn't work that way. Willpower has nothing to do with it. And I had a teacher long ago who advised me to be careful of my wishing and my hoping. If you think about it, if you're wishing for something to happen, and I'm hoping for something to happen, that would suggest in either case that I don't believe it's happening, because I'm wishing and I'm hoping. Now, to have high hopes is good, right? But when we come into this teaching, we want to come from a place of realization, a place of knowing, and that's a little bit different. So let's be clear when we do our affirmative prayer work. After we connect with Source, which is the first step of affirmative prayer, recognition, we recognize that there is an energy and there is a power, and it's in the world, and most importantly, step 2 of affirmative prayer is that power is within us. And hopefully, when you work with those first 2 steps, something stirs within you where you can sense it. The word we say we unify with it by realizing this energy is within us, it's around us, and it's operating through us. So we contemplate the idea of one power, one energy. And you sit usually a moment or two or whatever period of time where you can just contemplate the oneness of life, and that life is in me. You say that life is my life now. Second step of affirmative prayer, you unite with it, and you realize that it's a part of you. And then when you're coming from that place of connection and awareness that there's one power and that power is in you operating through you, then you can make a statement, an assertion, a declaration from that place of knowing. So you're not wishing at that point. You've united with it. You realize that it's there and it's in you operating through you. And then you say, I declare, I know, and you connect with it, and you have the authority to actually speak things into existence. Not by yourself, but when you are connected with your greater self, when you're connected with life itself. You have the ability to move mountains, you have the ability to heal, you have the ability to transform, you have the ability to do many, many great things. But it isn't you that doeth the work. This would be, remember the story of Jesus. He would say, it's not me, it's the Father, it's the Spirit within. When you're doing this, there's no hoping to it, there's no wishing to it. We are absolutely knowing something is so. And it's so now. It's the healing isn't next week, next year. It's now. We are supplied and supported now. We have what we need now. There's a divine pattern of health and healing in operation now. The perfect job exists now in the mind of God. Everything is now. Your words are your wand, says Florence Scovel Shinn. You have creative power at your disposal. Ernest Holmes says there's an enormous account in your name, in whatever town you live in. You simply need to learn how to receive. Because if you're not achieving, if you're not receiving, it's not that the abundance isn't there. It's not that the healing isn't there. It's because you just don't know that it's there, or how to get it, or how to receive it. So you come here week by week, and you learn how it works. That's one of the chapters of our textbook. You learn how to use it, another chapter. And you understand that your words are your wand. And it's your words, it's your emotions, but you have the ability to create. You have creative power at your disposal. So always we remind you to calm yourself down, to slow yourself down, take some deep breaths, take what we call take the pause that refreshes. Take a pause, whatever time you need. Take that time to realize that there is a presence. There's always a presence. And that's an aliveness that is in you, a presence that's in you that's operating through you, and it's responding to you as you believe, not as you wish. Our teaching, once again, is not about wishing and hoping for some desired thing in the future, nor is it about manipulating life to do your bidding. I've tried that many times in my life. That didn't work out very well. It doesn't work that way, plain and simple. Life cannot be manipulated. I was told probably 30 years ago, there's no shortcuts to consciousness. I didn't like that because I wanted what I wanted when I wanted it. And I was told there are no shortcuts to consciousness. God can't do for me what it can't do through me. So if I want to have more love in my life, obviously I have to become more loving. If I want more prosperity in my life, I have to learn how to be more giving. It's just the way it works. You have to be the thing. You have to, it's never going to be about the other person. I think I say that often here. It's never about the other guy. It's always going to be about you. Our teaching, our use of principle, we call it principle, divine principle. I remember when I was taking my ministerial exams many, many years ago, that was the exam question. What are you going to do each week? Because your job, Greg, they said to all of us, is to go out there and get excited about principle, divine principle. Get as excited about it as you can, because you want to communicate with your audience that they can have anything. If they get excited about this principle of life and they understand that life responds to them as they believe. This is the principle that we teach. Life is in you, operating through you, and it responds to you. Our teaching, our use of principle or affirmative prayer is to provide a way, a path, within ourselves. Our David Walker, past president, used to say, an avenue through which life spirit can express. So we intend to be open to spirit. The spirit's always there, attempting to guide us. We intend to be open and invited in to our awareness. Deep affirmative prayer work opens channels within you so great and so great things can come to you and through you. We are, as Dr. Barker used to say, clearing the way. We're setting a pattern. We're making the way clear. Affirmative prayer expands our consciousness so that we can be aware of truth, aware of the presence that is both in us and around us. As we center ourselves in this presence, in this consciousness, and commune with it, sense it and feel it, it clarifies our mentality, our thinking. And it removes the old tapes, the stories, the hurts, the blockages, the resentments. And it allows grace, to come in. It allows light to come in. When you're connected with this, when you're aware of it, you can imagine yourself being plugged into this source, then you're coming from connection. My dad used to say to me when I was a kid, Spirit will never be the uninvited guest. So you need to invite it in. And remember that you're a part of it. You're one with the one. And when you're at that place, there's no doubt within you. There's confidence, there's faith, there's certainty, and there's peace. Remember, weekly, often I say, the peace of God is my one goal, my purpose, my function in my life. So when you're coming from that connection, you have a certain confidence, a calm, a faith, a certainty, and a peace. I can say to you on this beautiful day, we right now live in a perfect universe. It always is, and it always has been. I'm sure some out there who don't really understand the teaching will argue that it's not. When you enter into New Thought studies and practice, you embark upon an exciting and transformative journey that unveils the profound beauty and inherent wisdom of existence. It's all very simple, said Louise, yet it requires some effort. I remember one of my great teachers who said, we're going to take this to a deeper place. That was said in a class. And then she asked, are you willing to do the work? See, a lot of people love coming to religious science, but then that next question kind of like caught us by surprise. Are you willing to do the work? And she was so talented and a very mothering type of person on this special day. So I was reminded of her, so gifted. But she asked that question, are you willing to do the work? You know, I'm always asking questions in our lessons. I try to get inside your head so you can think. Nobody likes to be preached at too much. So I'm asking questions all the time. And that's the first one I'll ask of you on this special Mother's Day. Are you willing to do the work? Because the universe will take you wherever you want to go. As New Thought students, we draw from this rich, rich background, this tapestry of the transcendental movement. We learn to see life as a magnificent symphony of synchronicity. I learned that from the Celestine prophecy. You look back at your life and you can see how everything was connected and brought you to where you are. It's really fascinating. There was a movie, The World According to Garp. The closing scene did the same thing. He's being taken away in a helicopter, and he says, remember everything. And he's smiling because he could see how it all happened, and it all just, he could see the interaction of everything. We can do that when we take the long view from a distance, right? We can see harmony. The perfection of life is astonishing. It's breathtaking. Everywhere you look, it has the potential to take your breath away. From this expansive perspective, the threads of every experience, every encounter, and every challenge intricately weave together to form this grand tapestry of our individual journeys and our collective journeys. We can recognize, even in the midst of chaos and painful circumstances that we hear about every day, that there exists still a perfect order guiding each moment, whispering, if you listen to Spirit, truths into the depths of our souls everywhere. Through the lens of New Thought and the practice of New Thought, we awaken to the perfection that resides within every situation. We understand that there's not a spot where God is not. We come to understand that what may seem like setbacks and disappointments in our lives are often hidden blessings in disguise. There's always a gift there someplace. And these setbacks, if you want to call them setbacks, nudge us towards growth, self-discovery, and the realization of our highest potential. As we embrace this empowering teaching, we transcend the limitations of fear and doubt, and we open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that are always awaiting us. As we learn to align our thoughts, intentions, and actions with the universal flow of love and harmony, we're co-creating a reality that resonates to our deepest dreams and desires. I've heard it called before the dance with the divine. In this interaction, we learn to cultivate unwavering faith, knowing that every step we take, every choice we make, is guided and inspired. We trust more than anything here as we work this teaching, the givingness of life. We have, each of us have an internal guidance system, if you want to call it that. There's something there that always, when you're missing, you know you're missing. You know, when you're off, you know you're off. We have this thing inside of us that guides us, thankfully. As we embrace this teaching, we learn to rely on our inner guidance more and more. Some 40 years ago, I learned about a saying from a 12-step program. And the saying or the slogan was, surrender to win. Ever hear that one before? I will explain it. In New Thought, we surrender our need for control. In New Thought, we embrace the perfection of life unfolding. We do our work in mind. We do our work in consciousness. We don't push and shove others or ourselves. You know, we love ourselves as we move forward. We do our work in consciousness and mind. And as we grow, day by day, we shine. Our light of awareness is shown and blesses the world. We, with practice of this teaching, can see peace, and we will know peace where other people won't see it. And we can see love where others are not yet able to. Let us, with this teaching, inspire ourselves and others to see beyond the illusions of chaos and invite them to embrace the perfection that lies within every moment. If people can't see it, they can't see it yet, but you can see it. You can see peace instead of conflict. You can see peace in the midst of anything, if you want to. Willingness is the key, I was told long ago, that opens the doors. As more and more of us get involved in this practice, as more and more of us do this, we will awaken a collective consciousness rooted in love, unity, and the understanding that everything unfolds in divine order and perfection. We have a saying, perfect time, perfect place. Remember, when we're doing our work, it needs to be seen and felt mentally and emotionally. So you're going to recognize and know that you're one with the one. And first of all, you're going to recognize and know that there is power, there's love in the universe, and it's everywhere present. And that presence, that thing is inside of me, or in your case, you. And you want to know it intellectually, and you want to know it emotionally. I'd like to start by giving you a few quotes from some of our New Thought leaders. Ernest Holmes, our founder, the author of our textbook, said, "The mother heart is a universal principle, and it is one with the heart of God. The love of a mother for her child is not a personal or human thing. It's the divine in her, manifesting through her soul to its fullest extent." This weekend I looked up a few other New Thought leaders for you. Each of them have had wonderful things to say about motherhood from a New Thought perspective, highlighting the transformative power of motherly love, the importance of self-care, and the spiritual nature of nurturing and guiding others. It's important for us to say today that everybody who's listening hasn't had the same experience in their life of their mothers. I'm aware that some of you have had complicated relationships with your parents. I know at times things were complicated with my parents. But we bring this together for you today so we can collectively celebrate the best that was passed on to us. And if your experience wasn't always good, we hope to focus on what was good. And today is the day of remembrance. So Emma Curtis Hopkins, you may have heard of before. She's somebody that some of us have studied as we become practitioners and ministers. She was a prominent figure in New Thought. She was very colorful. She has been called, the mother or one of the founders. Emma Curtis Hopkins, when speaking on mothers and motherhood, said, "A mother's love is the power which turns poverty into riches, sickness into health, old age into youthfulness, and failure into success. Myrtle Fillmore is somebody I studied years ago, and she was one of the co-founders of the Unity movement, she and her husband, Charles. And Unity is a branch of New Thought, many of you probably know. Myrtle said something that we teach here at the center in New York. She said, the ideal motherhood is to mother yourself first. So we teach that all the time. Learning to love yourself first. Because when you really love yourself, as Louise would say, everything in your life begins to work. So when we think of mothering, we're learning to mother ourselves and to nurture ourselves with life-giving thoughts. When you know how to love and care for yourself, Myrtle said, you can then share that love and care for and with others. That's a beautiful sentiment from Myrtle. I have one or two more for you. Emily Cady, some of you may know, she was a prominent writer and teacher in the New Thought movement, and she's best known for her classic book, which is entitled Lessons in Truth. And her suggestion throughout her work is for us to always focus on aligning ourselves with, aligning our thoughts with the divine truth. See, there is that part of all of us that knows, and Katie was suggesting that align yourself with the highest things that we know. And when speaking on motherhood and mothering, Emily Cady said, motherhood is a divine calling, a sacred opportunity to nurture and to guide the unfolding souls that have been entrusted to our care. That doesn't mean you have to be the biological parent, but it's a responsibility, a divine calling. And many of you are nurturers, and you have been nurturing children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and maybe in your jobs. It's a sacred opportunity to nurture and guide the unfolding souls entrusted to our care. Next we have Nona Brooks. And if you don't know who she was one of the founders of Divine Science, yet another branch of New Thought. Nona said, a mother's love is a reflection of the divine mother's love for us all. It's nurturing, it's patient, and it's unconditional. Again, that may not have been your experience, but today we're looking to remember the best that we got from the people that nurtured us. They may not have been perfect, but we look to see the good always in what we do here. So I invite you to think about whatever good you received from whoever it was that helped nurture you. We have another person, Melinda Kramer. She was one of the co-founders of Divine Science, and she helped establish the foundational principles and teachings of Divine Science. And Melinda said, mothering is not limited to biological relationships. She said, mothering is a state of consciousness that embraces all beings with love, compassion, and acceptance. As I was preparing for this wonderful day, this celebration of the nurturers in our life, I came across a story of a woman, Maria. Maria, I thought would be inspirational for today. Her story was called The Thread of Love. Maria lived in a small village. She was a woman in her late 70s, and she was considered by all the people in the village to be a wise, wise elder. She was known for her supportive, loving, and nurturing nature to children and adults. Everyone came to her. She had experienced the joys and the challenges of motherhood, having raised 4 children on her own and many grandchildren. And she really helped a lot of the people in the village as well. On one afternoon, the village children gathered around and sat down with Maria. And they wanted to hear of one of her stories. Maria had a lot of stories. Maria began to speak softly, saying, once upon a time, there was a mystical golden thread. She wanted them all to imagine the golden thread. And she said the golden thread connected every mother's heart to her child, suggesting to all that they have this thread that connects them to their mother, whether the mother is here or gone, but the thread is always there. And that thread is made of pure love, compassion, and understanding. She continued, no matter the circumstances, I want you to all know that the thread is unbreakable, symbolizing the eternal bond that you have with your mother. It holds the power to transcend time, distance, and all the problems of life. The children listened intently as Maria shared different stories with each of them, and all of them representing all the different experiences of motherhood, what a mother is, and what a mother's love is like. She spoke of the mother's comforting and embracing the child from the very first day of school, and the unwavering support in pursuing their dreams. She talked to the children about the sacrifices their mothers have made to provide a place, a home for them. As Maria continued, the children could see themselves more and their relationships with their mothers within each and every story she told. And she talked to them about remembering the comforting touch of their mother's hand when they were young or when they were scared. And while others remembered the encouraging words that she had that lifted their spirits during challenging times. Maria's story touched everybody in a different way, resonated with everyone as they recognized the common thread, the golden thread that runs through their lives to their mothers, connecting them always to this unspoken love and this strength that they have received from their mothers. And she concluded her story to the children saying, today we want to express our love for our mothers. We always want to remember that love because we're going to extend that love to others. And we want to remember also, she said, the women who have embraced the divine role of motherhood. Maria was a mother herself to all of these children. So today at the center, as we come together for this wonderful day of remembrance, regardless of our backgrounds, we know, and whether we got a little or a lot of nurturing, we know that our mothers gave us what they had. We all share a common thread of love that binds us together, the thread of love that Maria spoke of. We have with our mothers, and furthermore, we have with everyone. We live, move, and we have our being in this golden thread of life, this energy. Let us honor and cherish the mothers who have shaped our lives and continue to inspire us every day, whether they're with us or not. They're still with us. Today, I'd like everyone in our gathering, if you're here with us live, as many of you are, or in the audience who are listening this week or on Zoom, I'd like you to reflect on the positive ways the mother figures in your life have influenced your life and the lessons they gave you that you have learned so much from. I have my stories. I've shared many of them with you before. We want to know, what are some of yours? We have a really large gathering today. Jimmy tells me there's over 100 people. So share with us briefly in our community time. Our parents may not have been perfect, and I know some of us have very complicated issues with them, but they gave us great gifts nonetheless. Maybe the things that they passed on that weren't perfect became the things that you perfected in your own mothering, in your own parenting. But everyone is doing the best that they can, as we often say, with what they have. And as another spiritual leader said to me, whatever they gave us, it was enough to get us where we are today. So today we remember our mothers, our aunts, our grandmothers, and all the maternal figures. This would be a good time for me to open it up to people's sharing. I guess I'd like to hear, what are the different ways your mother expressed love to you and how it impacted you? Mother's love is unconditional and it's nurturing, so it would be really interesting to hear what you all have to say. In our story today about Maria, we're reminded that no matter what has happened or what is happening, this golden thread of love remains. And we want you to remember whatever love and whatever fondness you have, and you'll be able to share it if you'd like. This remembrance will help you remember the eternal bond that you have with your mother. And always in our sharing, we want to remember gratitude. As we think of our mothers today, most of us will have a sense of gratitude for the love and sacrifices just being there for us. What comes to your mind about your mom, or your maternal figure, whoever it is, the qualities that she had and how she touched you, whatever it is that you're grateful for. I'm going to have a closing statement now, and then I'll look forward to hearing what you have to say. So we close by knowing that there's perfect life. There's one life. That life is our life. There is a presence and a power that's in each and every one of us. There is this mothering energy that nurtures and supports us in every new moment. So please invite this in now, and we know we're supplied and supported, and so it is.